Sometimes I get asked, how do I make my floral stencils for my tattoos? And it's pretty simple, so I'm going to make a video of it and answer some Q&A questions that some people on Instagram answered from a little sticker that I did on my story. And here is where I start. So I go on Pinterest, you can go on Chrome, you can go on places like Unsplash that are royalty free, and just look up flowers you want to tattoo. Preferably, I was going to do a peony, but I found a rose. But my point is, preferably, you want to find a flower that has large petals. And, do you see what I'm saying? It's not something like a daisy with a lot of small petals. This is very simple. It's a great example. Now, this is not going to be a realism tutorial. I can do one of those, and I probably will do one of those, but this is for I don't know what the name of this style is, but it's illustrative. It's very pretty. It's very delicate, and I'm in love with it. I never thought I was going to be a tattoo artist that did a lot of florals, but you never know where this career is going to take you. And this is just one of the places that I'm kind of drawn to now is black and gray floral work. So I'm just starting out drawing the center of the flower first and basically getting down where it starts. And then I'll begin kind of mapping out the general shape of the flowers. This isn't realism, so we're just using this reference to create a flower. You don't have to make everything the exact copy. This is art. This is very creative. This is free. And that's okay. Like, that's actually something that's better is if you don't make it exactly like the flower. It sticks more to this type of style better. One of the questions I received on one of my Instagram story stickers was, it's more of a personal one rather than a career related one, which is fine, but it's, what is a tattoo that you have that means a lot to you? Now, I don't have the most tattoos. There's people that are not tattoo artists that have more tattoos than me. I'm 23 and I have a lot of time to get more tattoos. So if you've ever met me, like, you'll notice I don't have a lot of tattoos like visible. And that's because before I was an artist, I was working like normal jobs where having hand tattoos and neck tattoos and face tattoos like were not a good idea. So I waited, and now I'm not just like jumping all in and getting them all done at the same time, because I would rather wait and think about what I want and go to. That's another thing. This is so off topic, but now that I'm an artist, like, I view getting tattoos completely differently than I used to. I used to think of just getting a tattoo like, yes, it is therapeutic, like all the things that people say, like it's an expression of yourself. But now yes, it is that, but it's also like going to an artist. I would like to go to different artists, travel to them, because they're, not where I'm at. I'm at Nashville, Tennessee right now. So I'm still looking. Most of the artists that I really look up to most of them aren't even in America, first of all. But the ones that are like in Texas and LA and California in general, and maybe some in New York. So I want to travel and, fill that up. But I do have tattoos anyways. I'm going to jump off that topic. But yeah, I do want to travel and get more tattoos and learn from those artists. But I did start pretty young getting tattoos. I think my first tattoo, I was 19. No, I was 18. I was 18. It was right after I graduated high school, and I was in Colorado. And I just like decided to do that for my graduation, and I was there, and it was like the last few days, and a lot of people do this, and I feel like I've been their artist that they're doing the same thing. But I was just on vacation. I went into whatever shop looked good, like had good Google reviews, and I didn't know really what I wanted. I did, but the people there, like, they didn't specialize in that, and a lot of people at the time didn't specialize in that style. So I just ended up getting like the Colorado state flower, and that was like, it's on my back. It's in such a dumb spot. Oh my God. Placement matters so much with tattoos. Like, but yeah, I started, so I have like some dumb, like random tattoos that I'm like, I don't even really want this anymore, but it's not like it's like bad. It's just, it doesn't, I guess it's kind of cool, like thinking about it now. Like, I don't know. The idea, I had an idea for it, but whatever. But yeah, I would say now so I do have quite a few tattoos from when I was younger, like 18, 19, 20 and stuff, but I kind of stopped for a little bit just because I realized like I want to get more meaningful, or not really meaningful tattoos, but honestly just better quality. Sorry if you could hear that. That was my cat like jumping up my leather like computer chair, and this computer chair is like messed up because both of my cats just like treat it like a scratching post, and now she's like purring in my ear. She's so cute. She's also in this video so many times because she needed attention, and I don't know, I left it in there because I thought it was cute. I would say at the time of me going through getting a lot of tattoos, of those right now that are probably the most meaningful, probably the one on my, it's not really my sternum. I mean, people call it a sternum tattoo, but it's really like an upper stomach, like under my breastular area. And it's a sun, and it's in like a neo-traditional style. It's has like, I mean, it's not like the style I asked for. It's just like the artist wanted to like put his take on it. I don't know why, but because it's a memorial piece basically for my father. The reason, yeah, well, obviously that is going to be very meaningful to anybody who has like a, memorial piece. Like that's probably like one of your most meaningful tattoos, like when you've lost somebody. But yeah, I got it for my father because, so he had a good amount of tattoos, not like he wasn't like heavily tattooed, but he had a good amount of tattoos, and he had both of his hands tattooed, and he had these like suns or stars that were in between his ring finger and middle finger, and they like, it started from like in between there and like went down to kind of like the middle of his hand, on both hands. And I loved those tattoos, and I just thought that it would be kind of like a nice thing to do. It wasn't, something like his birth and death dates, which, I mean, no shade to you if you have those, it's whatever you got to do to heal, like you do that. But I just wanted something, I don't know, that's just how I wanted it. I didn't really want it to say his name or like dad or anything like that. I just wanted something like that. And I didn't get him like on my hands, like I said, because even being young, I knew not to get them on my hands like he had them, because honestly, he had a hard time getting jobs because of his tattoos, because they were very visible, especially his hand tattoos. Nowadays, a lot of people are not afraid to get hand tattoos, even though they probably still should be, because things are not as different as they may seem sometimes. Like, yes, okay, maybe some jobs now are being more progressive, but it is moving like molasses. And I would just be wary for a while until you are definitely in a good job before you get something highly visible like your face, neck, hands. I would just wait. He didn't. And this was, I mean, what, in like the early 2000s or something when he got them, which was a huge mistake on his part, and he knew that, especially after he was young when he got them too. But just like growing up and like hearing him talk about how it really impacted his life, having these, they're not offensive, they're just little suns, on his hands. He was working on the border, and when he got them, and they started making him wear gloves, and he was a server. It's not like he was working in the back, he was a server. So he's like wearing these like weird gloves like the whole time, and people are, it's just odd. And he, not only that, yeah, like but he ended up quitting that job, and ever since then he always had a problem like getting jobs or whatever because of those hand tattoos. So I definitely learned from that to not get stuff like that. I learned from it firsthand. A lot of people, I don't think their parents had tattoos. A lot of people had more of a traditional upbringing. So they just are not aware of how bad it can be, even if it's something cute like a flower or a star or whatever. You need to be careful, because the same people that were in charge of whatever that was back when he was, alive and working, when he was like younger, they're still alive now, and they're still gonna be your boss. So they might have changed their views. They probably haven't, though. So I would just be careful of that. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe getting those tattoo, like that sun tattooed on me, like wasn't, I don't know. To me, it had meaning, because he also, the reason he got them was, it's a nice reason or whatever, but I just wanted it. I just thought it was nice, and it is very meaningful to me. So I think that's probably the most meaningful tattoo. Everything else is like, it's cool. It just looks cool. I do have like lettering above my knees that are like, I don't know. It says memento mori, and then the other one says know thyself. I'm not going to explain that. I don't feel like it. Don't ask me about it. Because honestly, it's not even that cool. Like I don't know. I think I was just like 19, 20, and I was like, that's so cool. And I just wanted to get it, and it is cool. I don't know. Like I'm really into philosophy. Not that much. I'm not that much into it, if I'm being honest. Like every time I try to read a philosophy book, like I just get bored. But yeah, like I mean, I don't know, like I read The Art of War like in middle school. That was cool. That was super easy to read though. So that one was easy to read. It was very interesting. And then I think the most recent one I tried to read, I've never read a Stoic like philosophy book, so why would I get that tattooed on? I don't know. I mean, do you have to get it tattooed? I mean, it doesn't really matter. Tattoos are whatever you want. I'm gonna get it done if I want it done, and that's how you should think too. So with the drawing, you can see I've already mapped out all of the petals, and now what I'm doing is kind of carving out a more defined line. I'm not going hard, right? Because maybe I want to change something again. Now, I'm not doing every little ridge. I'm going to go in and probably add some more ridges, basically, and I don't know, just make it whatever I want it. I'm not following the reference exactly. It's just kind of a guide of like where everything goes. It's like my flower. It's not really like a real flower. It doesn't have to be realistic to be beautiful. I will say with this, like, one of the things that I like about this style a lot, and the reason it's so delicate and soft and it like melts into the skin almost, is because it's basically nothing. Like, it's basically nothing. It's all like finesse. That's like my favorite like tattoo technique. Basically, it's just finesse. I don't know how to explain that. I've noticed a lot of my favorite black and gray artists, they're all like really good at like basically like finessing shadows and negative space to like it, but it's like if you step back, you will see it looks like there's a lot of detail, and it's like, oh my god, like this is so complex. But if you really look closely, like it's like big blocks of like one shade, or it's not actually that complicated. Also, don't forget to add some leaves. There's so many styles you can do leaves in. It's really up to you how you want to do your leaves. This is just something that really depends for me, flower by flower. And if you're doing a larger piece with multiple flowers, basically the whole point of the leaves is just to bring balance and flow. Would I really tattoo this exactly on somebody like this? I don't know. It would really just depend on where we put it. Usually I wouldn't put leaves like all around it like this, but I'm really just doing this for the paper. I don't know, I was just feeling it. It's a little bit of an odd shaped flower. So I just kind of used some leaves just to balance out areas where I felt necessary. Also, now I'm starting to do the shading. So with the shading, I'm not really following the reference for this like at all. What I'm doing is basically creating a nice like cast from each of the petals. And basically assuming like each of the petals are like basically like just 2D in a way. Like they're kind of like just these flat, and they are, petals are just these like flat pieces of flower matter, I guess. I don't know. Like a piece of paper, imagine that. And it's kind of lifting off the edge. So the closer it gets to the center or wherever it gets closer to the next petal, that's where it's going to be darker. And then the farther away it gets, the lighter the shadow gets. And each petal and each shadow is so different and unique because, obviously flowers aren't perfect and they're not going to be exactly built the same way. Like for this one, like the rose, there's this little shadow I'm working on right now where it basically like starts at the center because that's where the base is, right under that. That's the base of the flower. And it begins there and then it comes out towards us. So basically the closer it is from the base and then kind of where the edges are that are farther away from us. But as it gets closer to us, it's farther. So that's where it kind of fades out to almost nothing. So the next question I have is, tell us your story. How did you get started tatting? So basically what drew me to tattooing, yadding people up was growing up around people with tattoos. So I've always liked them, and I've also always been drawing since I was like a kid. I grew up around a lot of artsy people that drew a lot. My mother drew very well. Like she is an amazing artist. I wish she would draw more. She's the one who taught me how to draw. Other than that, I'm pretty self-taught. I didn't really take a lot of classes in high school or college. I actually, besides my mom teaching me how to draw, like I started by watching YouTube videos, like how to draw an eye, how to draw this, how to draw a flower, how to draw a rose, like whatever. Like that's exactly how I learned. I don't know if you can call that self-taught, but I mean, most people refer to like people who don't go to school as self-taught, so whatever that means. And because of that, like always drawing, and I don't know, I've always loved art. I've always loved tattoos, and I remember being like a kid on the playground and, having like markers like under the slide and drawing on kids' arms. And like I'm not even joking, like having a lot of them just like be in line, like, can you draw this? And I could draw whatever. And I was in elementary school. And then obviously I drew myself too. And my mom would get so mad. She'd be like, Ariel, you cannot draw on yourself. Tattoos are bad. And I just tattooed her like 2 months ago. So it's just funny how things like can't, like, how they turn out. But I don't know, like things just kind of led to me doing this. I decided I wanted to be an artist in high school, like a tattoo artist. But it didn't actually happen for until way after high school. Like I think I got an apprenticeship when I was like 20 or 21. I was 21. I had definitely tried before then, but just the people in the town I was at offering, most of them don't offer apprenticeships, which is fine. Like you don't have to do that if you don't want to. I don't think you should be a mentor to somebody unless you are prepared to do that. But honestly, I just never really came across a opportunity where I really felt like I was going to learn something valuable. And I wasn't trying to get, used. And now I know the term like apprentice factory, and that's basically what those were. And I didn't even know like that was like for sure a scam or anything, but like just everything about it, like I just didn't want to do it because I don't know. I was like, I had second guessed myself and I was like, man, maybe I should have. Like, sometimes I still think that, like, maybe I should have just did it just to get my foot in the door, whatever. But no, like, I'm really glad I didn't because I would not be here if I had just did it the fast way. Sometimes, the turtle wins the race. I think it's the tortoise. I mean, tortoise, turtle, tomato, tomato, whatever. But unfortunately, just because I couldn't find a good apprenticeship and, I wanted to do things the right way. I had done so much research on like how to get into it. And the state I started in was Texas. And Texas is one of the states in America where there's really not a lot of legislation in the way with tattooing. So you don't have to get a license. You could literally buy a machine off of Amazon and walk into a tattoo shop in Texas and tattoo legally as long as the shop itself is licensed. So it's actually super easy if, the people who own the shop don't really care. But I didn't want to do it that way. I wanted to do it the right way. I wanted to learn from somebody. I wanted to grow and I don't know, I just wanted to take it seriously. I had very high expectations of the industry before I entered too, that I don't know, like now I realize like so many people just like take whatever shortcut they can and they don't even care to do that, which, you know what, fine, like do it that way. Like we're all here at the same time now, so I don't know, I was just being a tryhard, I guess. Now I know that is so far from the truth. Like you can definitely thrive as an artist. This was the right choice, but I'm glad everything unfolded out like it did. But anyways, I got demotivated from doing it at all. So what I did was I just, continued to do college because I was already in college. I was at a community college. I loved it. It was so fun. I love community college. I miss it every day, honestly. It's like high school with old people and not really any drama. Like there's no social pressure. I do miss it. It was fun, but I went for accounting. I don't miss that. That was really hard. That was like a lot of brain power and stress. I liked learning about business law and stuff, honestly. But I will say, just overall, like there was just a certain point I reached where, yeah, like I was gonna get like a very secure job and I was working and going to school. So I was like selling insurance and I had worked in a bank previously and I was like a teller, like the worst job in the world. But anyways, I was doing that and like going to college and like, I don't know, like I just had like this epiphany that I really didn't like a single area of my life. Like I didn't like the town I was in. I didn't really like the school I was going to because I had left like my original college to go get my bachelor's degree at Texarkana A&M University, and I didn't like that school. I just didn't like it. I didn't like the job I had. Selling insurance was like really stressful and sad and corrupt, and it messed with my head a lot. I didn't like doing that. I didn't like the degree I was in. I ended up just like being like, why am I doing, like, I don't like this. I don't even like this at all. I don't know if I can do this professionally for the rest of my life. I didn't really have any friends or like a good social life. I didn't really, just my personal life in general kind of sucked too. So I just kind of was like, you know what? I feel like I deserve to like one thing about my life. And I decided what is that one thing that I want to do? Just one thing. Just give myself one thing. Because I was in such a bad habit at the time of not doing anything that I liked. Like at all. Like I always was just, I was just not giving myself anything and just giving out to other people. Which is bad. Like you need to be selfish more. But I don't know. Like I just decided that I was going to be a tattoo artist because I was like, dang, like it's just something I've always wanted to do. I've never stopped drawing. Even when I was in college, I never stopped like making art. I think I did kind of for a little bit. Like I would go like months without doing anything just because I don't know, I was kind of like down in the dumps and I just didn't want to do anything, honestly. But still, like I would be at the bank and like drawing something like on a sticky pad like in the corner when nobody was looking, and it wasn't busy, or like at my office job and like kind of doodling on the side like when nobody's paying attention. I just couldn't help it. Like I'm always like drawing or doing something. So that was like something that I couldn't stop doing. I knew I was always going to be wanting to draw. So I just was like, you know what? I'm just going to take a huge risk and I'm going to like just focus on making my art better. I'm going to focus on making a portfolio because I'd read online like you need an art portfolio to show, tattoo shops to get, to get an apprenticeship. And so I like took it seriously. Like I bought some art books, on like still life drawing, because that was like somewhere I was weak at. And I tried to draw different pieces that reflected different styles just to show like I can draw different, I can draw black and gray, I can draw color, I can draw different subjects, portraits, whatever. And I wasn't finished, but there was this shop in town. I'm not going to talk about them, but they're an amazing shop and all the artists there are super great. And they were brand new at the time. So I was like, but yeah, I didn't see them post anything about looking for an apprentice, but I thought maybe, there's a lot of good artists there. Maybe one of them is looking for an apprentice. I didn't really know how it worked, honestly. And I just figured I'd ask, and they said they're not looking. But I was like, okay, that's fine. I figured, but would you be willing to look at my portfolio and give me any like criticism? Because I'm trying to get an apprenticeship and I know I need a portfolio. I just figured it was smart, like to just get some professional criticism on how to make my portfolio better. And they said like, that's okay, which was great. So it wasn't even complete. I let them know like, this is not complete. It wasn't a binder. And I had kind of like cut out pieces and like glued them to like a piece of like black cardstock or whatever. I don't even think they were like in laminated pages yet or anything. And the front of the binder, I just like had like a piece of notebook paper with like, I just quickly wrote it like the day that I was about to like give it to them. Just like my name, my Instagram, so they could like look at more of my art on Instagram, and my phone number, just so they could contact me. And so I think like a day or two went by and I ended up getting a phone call asking for me to come in and that the owner wanted to speak to me, which was cool. And I was like, awesome, like I'm going to get some good feedback. And I went in and he was just like, this looks really good. He really liked the portraits I did in there, like the realism, because he was like a really good realism artist. And I honestly did not even think that this dude was like gonna want an apprentice. I didn't think that he was gonna want an apprentice or mentor me. But I mean, he asked if like it would be cool if I like worked there and like, did like, the stuff you got to do to be an apprentice, like the front desk stuff and whatever. And so I did that for a while, and that's how I got my foot in the door. And I learned a lot from there. It was like a really good shop. I'm glad I got to do it there. Honestly, it was way more safe for like a woman to work at that place than it would be at the other places that I had like previously thought about going to. They're good people, they're good artists. So I got a really good experience out of that. And I am glad that I did go the route of being an apprentice, because if I didn't, then I really would not have been pushed into this direction of probably like black and gray realism or illustrative. My art would just not be where it is now. And I think art is a big part of the equation with tattooing. A lot of tattooers don't agree with that. But I think that, I learned a lot, and I'm really glad I went that way. And I feel like if you want to be a tattoo artist, you should try to get an apprenticeship with the, parameters of a good apprenticeship, not just like some like apprentice mill where they're like pumping out apprentices. They don't care about you. They just want like a few $1,000s and you get your license or whatever. Yeah, like there's not a lot to learn from that. It's kind of just sucky. So I don't know, I would really just wait around. It took me, from turning 18 to then, I mean, obviously it took me quite a few years, like to actually find a decent apprenticeship. And so it took me a long time, but maybe, yeah, like who knows where I'd be if I had started sooner. Like right when I was like, I think 20 or something, with that first apprenticeship offer, maybe I would be somewhere else now. Maybe I would be better, because I'd have more practice. I do look at some people that are like, they're my age, or around my age, maybe even younger than me. And they're way better. They're way better at tattooing because they started right when they turned 18. Given they probably had an amazing like apprenticeship, because they probably weren't working at some shady place, but I mean, who knows? Maybe they were. You never know somebody's story. But they're better than me, and they're like my age or younger, and I'm just like, wow, like I'm just playing catch up. I'm just playing catch up with you, because that's crazy. I don't know. I think it's really up to you how you want to do it, how you want to get into it. That's just how I got into it. And you know what? I feel like doing it the right way and, really taking my time to learn more about art and design before getting into tattooing, it might have helped me more than just jumping into it without having ever drawn. I can't imagine what it's like for the many people who get into tattooing, telling people that they've never drawn a day in their life before they were a tattoo artist. Like, yes, it's possible, but oh my god, like it must be so much harder, because not only do you have to learn how to use this machine, right, and how to make stencils, how to like run a business, like your own clientele, like all this thing, because it's not just about tattooing. Like there's a business side to it, there's a financial side. You have to learn how to do your taxes, you have to learn all these things, like what equipment to get, like laws, health codes, whatever. There's so much. Not only do you have to learn this stuff, but you have to learn how to draw on top of that. And I mean, I've been drawing since I was like a kid. I've been drawing for I'm 23, but probably like 20 years. I've probably been drawing for 19 years. And I'm only this good at drawing. Like, there's people who are masters at drawing. They're just, and they're like 16 years old or maybe older than me, but one day I'll get better. It takes time. It takes a long time to get really good. There's no shortcuts. You just have to practice. So like, as much as people say, drawing is not necessary to be a tattoo artist, I could not disagree more, because you're drawing every day. You're drawing every single day. Unless you're just straight up copying other work, which even then, like, you can't just take a picture of something else and just do it right. Like, because I know a lot of, people like to talk negatively on other styles. But, whatever style it is, it's not as easy as you think. If it's black and gray realism, it's not as easy as you think. If it's color realism, it's not as easy as you think. If it's American traditional, it's not as easy as you think. Same with Japanese traditional, same with trash polka, same with micro realism or illustrative, black work. None of it is ever as easy as you think. As soon as you think, oh, that's so easy, like I'm gonna do that, you're gonna get humbled so quickly. Even like the very fine line stuff, like I do a lot of that, especially with the walk-ins. People love that. Like people don't really get infinity symbols anymore, but since I'm in Nashville, I get like cowgirl boots or like, I don't know, stuff like that. Or like longhorns and stuff, flowers, just like lines, just line work. That may look easy, but it's not, because each line has to be so perfect. There's no shading to hide anything, and these people want it fast, easy, cheap. So you have to learn so much in each of these styles. And I just can't imagine having to do all of that at one time. Like, that must be so, so stressful. And then on top of that, when you're an apprentice, like, most of the time people are not getting paid, or they're getting paid, a little amount, or if they're doing like labor, or sometimes they're actually paying the people to clean their toilets. So I don't know, like, it's a lot at one time. I would suggest, honestly, learning to draw before, because wouldn't you want to know if you actually like drawing? Because that's the job. That is the job. Every single day you're going to be drawing. You're going to be painting, you're going to be drawing. Even if you're just a digital artist, and you only work on your iPad, you got to figure out if you even like to do it. Otherwise, you're just like going in it for what? Like, why are you doing it? Like, are you doing it just for money, or, because yeah, it's good money, but are you fulfilled? I don't know. That's none of my business though. But to me, like, that's my favorite part, is whenever I do get to do a really cool design and make somebody happy and do something just so cool, so sick. Okay, and now with the shading. So I've already completed the shading inside the flower with, under the petals, where it's kind of dark in the center, just to give it some depth and layers. Now what I'm doing is kind of bringing everything forward by doing some shading outside of the flower, where it gets kind of closer in between the petals. That's where it's darker, and then I fade it out slowly so that it's like giving a negative effect, like a negative space effect. It really just makes it look super soft, and very pretty. Someone else said on my Instagram sticker that I should make a video, like a vlog type of video, where it's the day in a life of an artist, like a tattoo artist. So I actually have tried to do that before. I did it in like a whole week span, and I did that back when I lived in Texas. And I was in a small town, so it was cool, and it was so fun to make. And it kind of got me a little less camera shy, but I will say that it was a lot of work. And I don't know, like, I really did go through the whole effort of filming the highlights of my week, basically. Like, not just the tattoos and design or whatever, but, just like what I was doing. And it was kind of difficult because I realized how boring my life was. And I was like, I'm not really in a cool city where I live somewhere interesting. So I like made it, and then I really went through the effort of, actually editing it and doing all this stuff. But watching it through, I don't know, I guess I just got self-conscious and I never posted it. And I deleted it too, so I can't post it now, but maybe I will do that. But I realized how much effort it is to like do all of that and then edit it. And so I'm not sure, maybe a day would be a good idea. But I don't know. Now I live in like Nashville, Tennessee, so that's pretty cool, and it gives me an excuse to like go and do something cool. I'm kind of reclusive. I just work all day, and then I go home, and I don't know, I don't do anything because I'm just tired from work. But I need to go out more. So after you've completed all of your shading and made it to where it's really nice and soft, you have the shadows casting under the petals to give it a lifting effect, and you have your shadows outside of the flower to like make it have like a negative effect. Now what you want to do is really define those leaves. Like I said, there's so many ways that you can draw leaves, but this is just the way that I chose to do it. I didn't really want to do a lot of shading. I wanted to keep it pretty simple. But I'm kind of going in and I'm not doing a hard outline on the entire leaf. I'm just doing it enough to where it gives insinuation, kind of where it kind of curves and meets closer together, or if there's like a indentation, that's where I'll make it a little, harder. But if it's like on a long part, then I'll probably like keep it soft. I don't know. I just like that effect. I think it's kind of cool. I did do a little bit of the, like the spine of the leaf on the center, but I didn't do it connecting all the way down. And then when you start to do the outline of the petals, and that's like going to be very last, I would suggest not doing it all the way around. You can do that. It's just going to give you a different effect. I like to do it, like I said, where it's a little bit more, where it kind of meets at the edges and where it kind of like indents, because it almost gives it like an extra shadow effect. And these lines are like kind of dark and they're like fading out. So they're not like these harsh lines. It's like soft, dark, soft, if that makes sense. I'll probably do like I can do another video of it a little bit more up close, but I am doing it all the way around on each petal. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not doing it completely, from end to end of the petal, just because I don't want it to have too much of an artificial feel to it. It is not realism, but it has some element of realism to it. And this is just kind of like finessing it into a really soft tattoo without doing too much. But yeah, that's the complete flower, and you can do this with any flower you want. And don't forget to sign your work. This is just my little signature. It's taken me years to come up with this signature, but I think I'm finally satisfied with it. I'm really into calligraphy too, so I'm probably going to end up making videos about calligraphy, time lapses of it. I'm not sure yet, but it'll be out. If you made it to the end of this video, I really appreciate it. I'm glad you liked the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you have any questions, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow my other socials.